Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lizard Brains podcast. I'm your host, DJ Alessandrini. I'm joined by my co-host, Tom Gorman. Tom, how's it going?
I'm good, dude, because we are both had major wins this past week.
Oh yeah, wait.
Yeah,
Was yours against me at the Nürburgring?
yeah, guys, I beat DJ and iRacing straight up, and it's not
Oh,
about beating you specifically, but I'm so proud of myself.
you did do a very good race. I will say, I don't know if you would have got me in the draft on that last straightaway if I didn't get that course cut penalty, but I only got that course cut penalty because I was pushing so hard. Because Tom, we've talked about it in the past in the podcast, but I could feel your Tom eyes. Like if you ever have Tom behind you in a race car, like you've seen like his eyebrows go like full on like slanty inward, and yeah, exactly. That was literally it. Tom just did into his webcam. But yeah, I felt them. I felt the eyes, so I was pushing really hard. So that's why I got the course cut
Yeah, but
penalty.
when was the last time you felt that in a sim race because of me? Let's be honest. It's been years, right?
Probably COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got stories how I got there, but before I want to go into that, I want you to tell me about your weekend because you had an actually significant win
Yeah.
and like good weekend.
Well, I wish I would have won my class because I went to the Washington DC Pro Solo, and the left side was just giving me issues like the whole time. And if you're like Pro Solo, what the hell is that? Basically, it's like a drag tree launch, and you have a right side course and a left side course, and most of the time they're roughly symmetrical. But this lot had a bunch of different elevation and off camber and stuff like that. The cones were like relatively in the same spot, but with all the different like elevation and like camber differences on the lot, like they were two very different courses, which made it really, really interesting. But the left side was giving me a lot of trouble, and especially in the morning. And Alex Peel ended up beating me, but we put on one heck of a show. It was like back and forth, and oh, DJ's leading by a couple thousand, so now Alex is leading. And then it was the most anticlimactic ending ever because the last run didn't show up on the main computer for Alex Peel. So I was in first, but his last run wasn't showing up. So we got back and we're all like, I'm like, hey, who won? Like, because Peter wasn't like celebrating, but he also wasn't like, oh, sorry, man. He was just like kind of walking over like normal. I'm like, hey, what happened? Like, what? Am I P1? And
Yeah.
and he's like, oh, I don't know. The time didn't show up for Alex. So then Alex is looking at the data, and then we were talking about our runs. I felt really good about my right side run, which happened to be the fastest of the whole event, or not the whole event, but like in that class. And then Alex was only like a couple hundredths off of my right side run, and I felt really good about that one. But I knew I made mistakes on the left, and Alex said, well, I also feel really good about my left. So that's when I was like, okay, we don't even need to see the time. Like, if you felt good about your left, and I know I made mistakes, then you probably got me. And then eventually the time showed up, and yeah, Alex got me by a tenth and a half. So that bastard. Actually, on my Facebook memories, it came up a memory of Alex Peel driving my C Street Miata back in 2018. And man, Alex, you've come so far. Like so far. Like we've both come really far in terms of driving, but like Alex has really, really like improved over the last like 7 years.
Right. Autocross, it's an autocross format, but it's the only time when you can have two cars on course at the same time. So you get those like live results. The energy's like doubled. It's so,
Yeah.
I got to do my first pro solo right after my first national tour, like back to back way years ago. And I was like, oh, this is the coolest form ever. I want to do only this. And unfortunately it's like terribly inefficient, but it's so fun. All right, so you got your in class competition.
I got
Which
second.
you beat your target.
I
You
beat
guys
my
both
target.
Beat your target.
Yep, my target was the beat Mac Daddio.
Mac Daddio.
Dude, that's a Mark, we're changing your name. It's now Mac. Cuz Mac Daddio is a pretty badass name. Mark Daddio, he was 3-0 on me. And then this was the fourth time we met up, so I finally got him. Now the record's 3-1. I got some catching up to do, but
Points on the board.
Yep, my Mark Daddio block is hopefully over, and now we can just have straight up competitions. and Mark's a legend. So anytime you best Mark, you know that you did particularly well at
Yeah.
that event. And me and Alex both like we were both like just like out to murder each other, which is like the most fun form of competition. And I even before the thing started, I said, "Hey, let's put on a show." And like talking to Chip Manuel and then other people that were there, I think we definitely put on a show. It seemed like it was. I mean, it was exciting for me, but like it was exciting for other people as well. So but
Yeah.
I'm glad that it was a fun show. I wish I would have came out P1, but you know what? Alex kind of pissed me off for some greatness later.
Well, first I wish there was a way to watch it. And I was just thinking, you remember the story I told of that like motorsports games way back uh last summer maybe? And they were doing like a pro solo style, but they had a drone and they would just like run
Mm,
the drone down the course and back
yeah.
just so you could see the overhead image of like I wish there was something. I wish I could have been there. But my favorite part about the pro solo stuff is at the end they take all the class winners and they put them into a bracket of 32 and then they fill out the rest of the 32 with the people who finished closest to their class competition or their class winner. So obviously you were only a 10th back, so you got into that.
Yep.
And then you run like heads up rounds in this bracket, which I suck at.
Well, so
And you apparently do not.
they've changed it. The new format of it, I don't know when they changed this. Maybe somebody in the chat can tell me when they've changed it. But it used to be like whoever had the softest class, they would kind of like sandbag a little bit, like leave some time on the
Yeah,
table,
yeah.
and then they would like slowly empty out the sand as like they like continued on. Uh and then like the people in like the softest classes would have a chance to win, and I generally try to run even though they might not be the most fun cars, I try to run the classes that like is going to give that like show of like the back and forth, like we're like murdering each other in competition kind of thing. uh
Yeah.
so now they do two knockout rounds, and the first one is like the 16, there's 16 people. Is my mic cutting in and out? It kind of sounds like it is on my headphones.
No, you sound fine to me.
Okay, maybe it's just my headphones for some reason. I don't know. Um, so the they do 16 people, and then and they all run together. It's like a whole heat of like a pro solo. You do four runs, so two on each side, just like a whole round. And then the top eight people, and the top eight is the people that were closest to the dial in or over, they get in, and they encourage people to be at the front because you win money if you're like the top qualifier. Which in the first round
Oh.
I was the top qualifier. I don't know how much money I won, but apparently I won money. I'll eventually see it someday. And then that's K1, and then K2 is the same thing. It's just the other 16 people because there's 32 people that are in the pro solo thing, or the
Yep.
challenge. And then they take the 8 and 8 from K1 and K2, so the top 8 of each of those, and then it goes into the K3, and it's the same thing. It's like who got closest to the dial in or went over, like the top 8 people. And then K3 pays out money for like the top qualifier. And I was aiming for it. And people were telling me that I screwed myself for the challenge because I was breaking out. Because like the runs I was putting in were the runs post Alex beating me. So like I was like, I don't know. I wish I could have had that like kind of energy, or like I Tom, you've talked about how you wish you could bottle the like the national championship like you've won before, like mindset kind of thing. I think
Yeah.
I kind of tapped into it without winning a national championship, and cuz what it felt like, I wasn't focused on, and I try to do this, but I actually felt like what it felt like. I wasn't focused on anything other than my own laps or my runs, and like where can I improve, where was the low hanging fruit, and I was just like 100% focused into that. And that I feel like the next autocross event I do, I'm like going to just try to completely focus into that. uh and like I said, I've tried, but this time it just felt easy. I don't know why. I don't know how I actually like tapped into that, but it was just like trying to come up with honestly, Tom, it felt kind of like sim racing or like a racetrack where like I can accurately troubleshoot like what I need to change. And in autocross, that's much harder for me. But this time around, it felt like easier. And I think I'm getting better at like the Tomo vision thing, where I'm like incorporating to like do I actually have time to like really throw my eyes far ahead and like scan through the course, like during my course walk and like implementing it during my runs. And I feel like that stuff's starting to come together for me, which is like really exciting because uh, I I I want to try to get really, really, really good at this autocross thing because it feels like
Mhm.
it's been eluding me for so long.
Do you feel like it had anything to do with being more repetitious because Pro Solo you run 4 runs back to back instead of just 1?
It definitely the repetition of it definitely, helped with, like, dialing in like I think the one thing I'm really good at is, like, continually finding time, like like, going after those tiny little nuances, over, like, a lot of repetition, and I think that's just because that's what's practiced, like, from my sim racing experience and, like, just always just, like, finding the fine minutia in, like, the way to shift the weight around or to tweak the shape of a corner to get, like, maximum gain on entry and, the most solid exit, like, the give and take of all that. I feel like because of my background in sim racing and, like, those grinding out the laps and, like, trying to find that stuff, the repetition definitely plays into that. So, like, the thing I really need to get better at is to, like, figure out that minutia and what it's in generally gonna feel like, and get it done way earlier. Because if I get enough reps, I don't know if anybody's gonna catch me, even if they've had the same amount of reps. But I need to be able to do it earlier because that's the form of the competition, which is like it's a fun challenge. That's like that's part of the thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's super cool. I'm super proud of you. Obviously, all the work you're putting in is paying off, and I'm also super jealous because I've always traditionally sucked at those. And it's like still one of the last things on my motorsport bucket list that I consider the like attainable. I know I can do this in the same way that like pro racing was on the top of that list. I still haven't won a challenge in a pro solo,
I think you would
and
have a
that's like
chance with the format change. I think you would have a chance
maybe with that. Yeah, maybe. But
because
either way, it's. I also haven't done one in like 10 or 11 years, so it's a little.
you know what I found.
I think I was a different driver then.
You know what
But
I found surprising is that nobody was really close to what the dial in was by the time they got like to the bracket, and it was hotter and the sun was more direct and like the course was
mhm.
probably slower, but like people weren't finding that increment improvement over like the next whatever amount of runs. And it's not like it's. I mean, my class was super hard. Like I had Alex and Mark, and then Peter. You never overlook Peter. Like it's it's not like we were all leaving, like only D Street was leaving this time on the table. Like I think we raw time C Street, and that wasn't an easy class either. Like
Boom!
that's a super tough class that was there as well. So like D Street, like we were a bunch of savages this weekend, and there was still time to be found. And I think I won the bracket because nobody else was really finding time. Also, there was a lot of red lights. I was being like super conservative on the lights because that would be a terrible way to go out in the challenge.
That's
That's
how I
you've
go
done
out
that?
half the time, dude.
Yeah?
It drives
Are
me
you
nuts.
pushing the tree or like what's going on there?
No, I literally go in thinking it'll be, like, just chill at this point, especially. Now, like I said, it's been 10 years, so I think I was hitting my maturity as a driver towards the end of when I stopped autocrossing super seriously because I was moving on to road course stuff, and I was trying to focus on that, so it'd be interesting to go back to one now and do a pro solo and see if I felt that that's true. That's just what I think is probably the case.
Hmm.
How often do you get to return to something that you used to be, like, kinda good at, but you weren't really, like, fully realized, and then you come back to it 10 years later? That's kinda what I feel like it would be.
Yeah. I feel like you would just kind of clean up.
I don't know about that, but it would be I think I would be a little bit more mature because the closest thing I've done to a challenge like this, again, we're talking about like the brackets where you have to be consistent for how many runs did you take total to win? You won the overall thing, so you did what, a total of
Uh
7 rounds?
8. So
6 rounds?
just through K1 and K3, that was 8 runs, but only
Which means
one
16 runs, right?
yeah, only one of each counted and then it was round 1, round 2, and then round 3. So that would be an extra 6. So 6 to the 14 runs.
Per side
Because
or
but when you
total?
get down to 8, it's the round of 8, and then it's round of 4, and then it's the final 2. So that's only 3 rounds once you're in like the bracket of 8.
Okay, point is that you drove a lot, and to get through these rounds, you have to do the same thing a lot consistently. The closest I came was like the UMI thing when I almost won that in the NSX.
Yeah,
Uh,
that probably felt
that
very
that
similar, except you had much higher
that was
stakes.
well, yeah, but it was also that was a more realized version of the driver I am now than the last time I did a pro solo because
Yeah.
that was only 3 years ago instead of 10.
Yep.
And then what do you? Okay, first of all, Pat Griffith is with us live. He said it was probably that great announcing in the final round. Pat, I missed hearing autocross commentary from you. Haven't heard that in forever. And then Chip asked, "What do you win? Did you win something other than bragging rights?"
I think you win $1,000. That's what Google said.
You're googling.
I don't know. I don't
You're
know.
using the AI
It
autocomplete.
was the AI autocomplete that told me that. So I don't know. I don't know how accurate that is. But yeah,
I don't know.
just
Well, that'd be cool.
people kept telling me I was winning money, and then I was told, "Oh, hey, you're in like in K3." Um, I was being told, "Hey, we had a ladies driver in the car in Peter's car this weekend. Her name is Kendra. She's like the significant other of Taylor Wargo, who's a listener of the podcast, and she was so helpful during the challenge because she understood what was going on. I had no idea what was going on, but basically, like the moral of the story, over and over again was, I'm just gonna go do laps, right? So like that's what I was doing. But
Yep.
because I didn't understand how it worked, and at one point she's like, "All right, don't improve. You're gonna be through in K3, but if you improve, it's gonna like hurt your dial in." So then I did my second to last run, came through. I wasn't top qualifier anymore, and then somebody else mentioned like, "Oh yeah, the winner of K3 gets like $200 or whatever," and I was like, "Whoa, hold on, why am I sandbagging? I'm not gonna leave. I'm not gonna give up $200. I'm freaking broke. Like I
I'm
need to
gonna be
win this
rich.
thing. I need to win. I need to win all the money I can." And so then I tried to win K3, but after like sandbagging on the left side, and I went like slightly faster on the right side, which made me break out, which like changed my dial in again, and I still didn't win K3. And people were saying that I like kind of screwed myself over for the challenge. But the thing is with the challenge, and I was so excited to win it, and I was like honestly like a little dumbfounded. It is kind of lucky. Like you kind of just need things to go your way.
A little bit. Yeah, I can see that. I don't want to win one or try to do it manipulate it in a way that like you sandbag a bunch, even
Yeah.
though I know that it's a little bit different now than the last time I did it. Um, yeah, that sounds super tough. But I think maybe being disconnected from it a little bit actually helped. Just
I
being like, I'm just gonna listen to my crew chief.
maybe, yeah, maybe you know what, Kendra, if you're listening, I need you for solo nationals. You just need to come by and be like, okay, so the object here is, and then just confuse me, and I'm just like, you know what, Kendra, I'm just gonna go do laps. That's what I need.
Yeah. And your
Honestly,
day rate will be good because he just won $1,000 winning this challenge. So
maybe the
he's got the money.
oh no. um Maybe the thing I tapped into was I have no control over like because I've convinced myself that the challenge is like it has like an element of luck to it. Like things just kind of have to go your way. But you know what? Solo national championships, to win a national championship, things kind of just have to go your way. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So if I have that like same approach going into nationals where I'm like, I'm just gonna go do the best laps I can, and hopefully things go my way. Like a little bit of like a disconnect from it, and you just focus on like your own laps. And I
Dude,
know this
that
is
is the
so much easier to say than to do,
yep.
but if I could
But
tap,
that's the bottle I wish I could.
yeah,
And it sounds like you have
I
at
felt
least
it. I felt the bottle.
something about it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
felt the bottle, Tom. I was like, I literally afterwards, I was like, that's what Tom was talking about. Like, that's the thing he wishes he could give people. And I wish I could like remember it fully, like my headspace and where my brain was and like how I was thinking and how I felt. I wish I could remember all of that and just bring that out every time. And that's the thing that like we're aiming for as competitors because I don't know if I am gonna bleh. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to bring that out every time. But
Right.
that's the thing. I was like, this is what Tom is talking about. Like this comfortability of like, I'm just gonna go do laps. It didn't feel like there was risk of failure. It didn't feel like any pressure on me. It just felt like I was just gonna go and try to set the best time I could.
My two favorite definitions of luck are where the intersection of where opportunity and preparation meet, and that luck is fine and all, but you still have to be prepared when the luck hits.
Yeah.
So you better work for it. Both of those things is kind of what you're just talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, kinda. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we'll see. We'll
If
see.
luck hits and you're not prepared, then you're not lucky.
I'm looking forward to my next event. I'm all in on the autocross right now, Tom. I'm like super excited about autocross. My next event is not this weekend, but the next one at Grissom.
Right. That one I may still try to come to. That just reminded me too. While I have hopefully the most number of people still left listening, I'm going to be in Europe from July 1st to July 16th, and I specifically Austria and Switzerland, and I really want to go to a motorsports event over there, and I can fly anywhere after, sort of. If anybody like listening to this or people are connected in the UK or Ireland or anywhere, like it'd be super cool to find an event to go to. I'll work it. I'll work for free, whatever. I just want a reason to go see something over there while I'm there.
Ideally,
So if you have any ideas, let me know.
ideally, Tom brings motorsports driving and participation stories back to the podcast. That for me, I'm saying that selfishly.
Yeah, I don't want to go to like a Formula One race. I want to like go to an event somewhere where like the events we do,
Yeah.
people know.
Yeah, like not like super serious pro stuff, like the stuff where like normal people with normal amounts of money can go afford to do.
Yeah, that would be kind of fun. Well, I'm super proud of you. Congratulations on your win. Are you driving with Peter? Are you doing any autocross? It's not with Peter soon. I'll just stop asking if you have no. Say
I
no.
don't think so. Oh, Charlotte. I need a co-drive for Charlotte. I signed up for that event thinking Peter was going, and he's not going. And I
Mm.
reached out to Alex Peel, and it sounds like he's not going either, even though he signed up. So, uh,
You should find something palate cleansery then. That
yes,
can be your palate cleanser
that's
event.
kind of
Find
what I was
something
thinking.
rowdy.
I'm a rowdy. I was looking for an STR Miata, as rowdy as it gets, just because the
No, you got to challenge yourself more than
what?
that.
No, because the class looks really, really like it looks really stacked, and I like, oh well, yeah, I'll throw myself in there. That looks like fun. Or CST, which is like an ST prepped like second gen twin. That also looks like it's really tough, just because Josh Luster's there. Um,
Mhm.
but there doesn't seem to be another car that I can co-drive, or at least anybody that I know. So if you're on the fence of going to the Charlotte National Tour and you have a CST car, like it can be an STR S2000, it can be an NC, it can be a second gen twin. Like I think all of those things can get it done. Like let's go to Charlotte, or I don't know, maybe I'll drive the SSC car. That doesn't sound as much fun, especially because I don't have the 660 pluses or anything like that.
No, if you do that, if you're gonna stoop that low, find something in mod or like find something to challenge yourself that you have to think about as a driver instead of.
Yeah,
I
and
get the competition thing though. That's where you and I differ. I would be chasing the most interesting car I could find.
it look, tier 1, super competitive class and super competitive car. Tier 2, really weird, bonkers, fun, really dumb car, okay? And then tier 3, I guess I'll just go to some locals that event or something, I don't know, or like that weekend.
You drive down and you're sitting there at registration with your helmet. Are you local? You have an open seat.
Be like, I have like a wrinkled up cardboard sign like we'll drive for food.
Yeah. No, you just won $1,000. I have $1,000.
Pro Solo
Supposedly, Google AI told me I won
Pro
$1,000.
Solo
I expect
Challenge
my check in the
winner
mail.
will be receiving $1,000 check soon, according to Google AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Please help.
I think that's how rich people get rich. They promise stuff like that.
Just
I'm just
over and
kidding.
over again.
Yeah. So I had a pretty interesting,
Yeah, hold on, because
as you know.
you were talking
What?
about. You said yesterday Tom teased me. We were iRacing. He beats me, and he goes, "Yeah,
I won, by the way.
I've had some breakthroughs that I think would be interesting to talk about on the podcast." So, Tom, what are these breakthroughs in iRacing? And please teach me.
Guys, bear with me. It's not about iRacing. You know I wouldn't do that to you. But I've been on this little kick about being interested in becoming better at iRacing so that I'm out of the scrum so more often than not, because I'm so tired of getting crashed. Um, that I think that being faster would solve that. So I shared last week, I had this thing that I kind of realized helps where if I intend it, sorry, if I use the apex to inhale as a marker, like as soon as I start to inhale at the apex, I noticed that I would soften my hands, and it helped me really feel where the car was coming back to the grip after I was under a mystery the whole entry of the corner. Well,
So hold
you
on.
gave me I
Are
go
you
ahead, sorry.
are you exhaling on like the entire entry and then when you get down to apex is a big inhale?
I don't know what was happening before the inhale, but at the apex, I would start to
Okay.
inhale, and what that helped me do is like I said last week, it helped me release the tension in my chest. It would help me soften my hands and kind of move the driving back to the muscles it's supposed to be
Yeah.
in your shoulders, in your like lower shoulders, upper back, kind of. I think I would describe them as like pushing muscles more than pulling muscles, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
So, dude, what the annoying part about this? I know that this is kind of like crunchy and cerebral. I'm never thinking about this kind of shit in the real car, but this is the level of desperation I was at with the sim. So in practicing exhaling and softening my hands and feeling the limit of the car, and in the tips that you gave me, which meant did I talk about how you had me go to like 50% with my eyes closed on the brake and then open my eyes and see where it was
Yeah, so
last week?
yeah, because Tom uses a potentiometer pedal. So I have some tips for people that to like help dial in what their force factor should be, which is basically like a potentiometer pedal doesn't feel necessarily linear with pressure, but a lot of us, because we come from real cars, we in uh we like the way our foot communicates with us to the amount of brake pressure is by pressure, and the potentiometer goes by distance. But the spring gets tighter and tighter and tighter like the more you push it. So like the end of it is much more pressure in like the last 20% than like the first 80%. So there's a little dial on iRacing called force factor where you can like dial that in to better match like the pressure that your foot is feeling.
Right.
I don't know if I just
Um,
lost everyone, but
No,
basically,
no, I followed what you said, but basically what it meant is it changed. So the thing you had me do by closing my eyes and setting my foot at 30, 50, and 80% taught me that my understanding of the pedal sweep was off of what I thought it was, but I also cleaned my pedals and I think they're working better. So all of this to say, a couple of tips and finding that moving my feel for the wheel in the sim back to the driving muscles and away from my like tight chest and like tight forearms and like tighter grip. I kind of hit this this sweet spot where now I can feel the car through the entire corner, and I don't fully know. I didn't change that much. This has all been in the last week and a half. It's been like 10 days of sim racing, probably maybe 20 races total. And what it makes me think more than ever is the hand grip, like the amount of grip strength that you have on the wheel. I really want to do like if there's a way to do one of those grip strength testers or something, where they use them in like sports where you can test by
yeah.
squeezing this machine and it tells you what your grip
Oh,
strength
wouldn't that be
is.
cool if a steering wheel would give you that information?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm realizing so what I ended up settling on completely like at the end is I need to have my hands so soft that the car is never I'm never like limiting the car moving around. And I've realized that I've been holding the wheels tight enough that I'm limiting the car like when you're driving a real car, the wheels moving in your hands all the time, but you don't care because you can feel what's happening, you're fine. That has not been the case for me with the sim for the last 5 years.
Yep.
And I feel like I'm finally honing in on how soft my hands can be, where I keep my tension in the driving muscles that are like I literally was laying in bed last night, like I can feel if I close my eyes and like tense the muscles I want when I'm driving versus not. Now I can like decipher the difference. It's so hippy dippy. But all of that to say,
No, I think
coming
this
back
is
to like the
useful.
grip strength, it all comes back to I think the only thing you can pay attention to in all of this is grip strength and having the hand be so gentle that the wheel is moving in your hand like almost all the time. And the other thing that helped was putting more force in my thumb and rolling my hands inward. So I'm going to describe this better. If you put your hands out in front of you, if you're listening, on a fake steering wheel and you kind of like roll them forward and back, I think a newer driver or driver that's gripping harder tends to roll their knuckles towards the front of the car so their fists are up and more in a ball. And the more comfortable a driver gets, more often than not, I notice that their hands are more rolled back and their palms are more on the center of the wheel, like the middle of the wheel, and they're doing a lot more with thumbs and fingertips, and there's almost nothing with the hand of the meat of the hand or like the pinkies. Am I making sense right now?
Yeah,
Following all this?
I'm following. I grabbed a wheel. I grabbed a random wheel that's just next to my sim rig.
Did my description make sense? You
Well,
followed what I
I did.
said,
I
or
did
were you
take the
looking at me?
headphones off for like 10 seconds to grab the wheel. So, but everything up to that point made sense. Yeah.
Either way,
So,
okay. So
so
I
I have a
think
wheel in my hand right now, and yeah,
uh-huh.
when my palm is more on the front of it, my hands are more relaxed. But if they end up like kind of toward the back, you're kind of like, yeah, you're kind of the inclination is to like hold the wheel tighter. But like if your hand's like in the front of it, like, cause so like I'm looking at the webcam, like this is normally if you like look at it in my videos, like this is how my hand is on the wheel. It's like barely touching the wheel. And like I have like this part of my palm, which is like opposite of the thumb. Like that has the most contact with the wheel out of everything. And my fingers are like
Yep.
barely touching the wheel. Like cause I don't want to push past the fatty tissues in my hands, if that makes sense.
And by having that grip so soft, you're like literally the first inclination that the car is having some sort of input change or weight change. You're receiving that information at the wheel. What drives me nuts is I don't think you can think about this actively, but I was observing every time, we talk about with your own self coaching and whatever. If you can start by observing the symptom, that's the first step to
Yep.
fix it. Every single time I caught myself either like on the wheel, uh, tensed up through the exit of a corner instead of like freed up and letting the car float, or if I noticed that my chest was a little tighter, or if I hadn't breathed at the apex to like soften everything back up, observing that for like the past week has made it almost completely go away. And then if I switch cars, it comes back for a warm up lap or a first couple laps or whatever. I'm not perfect, of course, but I think that if you can't, and I'm completely fine with all this in real life. Obviously, if you go watch videos, my hands are exactly what I'm describing. But in the sim, they were like balled up, and I was trying to feel the car's grip so much that I was like my own biggest enemy.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that
I definitely feel my
I'm like a new
hands.
believer in the grip thing. Like I'm gonna put that in the back pocket and watch that even more.
I definitely
Sorry,
feel
go
my
ahead.
hands get tighter in sim racing for whatever reason than real life. And I don't know if
Mhm.
that's maybe just because I'm noticing it more in the sim racing
I
because it matters
I
more,
think it's
or
because I think it has to do with containment in the car and the way that the physics feel natural in the car. Like there's a level of being pushed in the seat with the real car that I think the driving muscles naturally moves the driving to the muscles that you should be using more than the
if your
sim.
seating
In the
position is
sim, it's
correct.
so yeah, I agree. Um, but in the sim, you can just sit so you don't have any of those forces like on your body, and I think you tense in different ways because of that when you're uncomfortable, rather than in the car. There's like a level of you have to be moving all the time and flexing and changing your body because you're fighting G forces.
All right, I figured it out. The reason why
What?
we're more tense in the sim is because in real life, when's the last time you spun a car, Tom? It's been forever, right? But in the
Yeah.
sim, like sometimes I just jump on and I like my outlap, I just spin and you're like, oh crap. So like if I just spun like that in real life, I think I would be more tense in the real car. You know what I mean? But
And it's probably been a slow decline towards that for me over time to that point. Yeah.
yeah, so I think like I and this is a takeaway that can work for like all driving is if you are feeling uncomfortable, your natural inclination, like the things that you naturally want to do, aren't going to help you necessarily. And you have to realize when those things are like creeping in. So, like any kind of tenseness in your elbows or like on your hands, or even I was noticing in the my first heat that I was like absolutely smashing my left foot into like the dead pedal of the car,
Oh yeah.
where like my leg was sore afterwards. Like I must have been like trying to squat. I must have been like trying to push like the seat out of like the socket or something. I didn't even realize I was doing that. So like my
Yep.
leg being sore and tired after 4 autocross runs told me that I was too tense in that regard and I needed to loosen up. Like my hands felt fine, everything felt fine, but like the evidence of my leg being tired was like I'm too tense, right? So
Yep.
and I think that's how you catch yourself. Like Tom was saying that you have to recognize when you're doing the bad behavior to like even have a chance at solving it. And to me, that's how I recognize if I'm doing it wrong is like the aftermath. Like, are my hands like tight after the run? Or is my
Yeah.
leg hurting or am I tense or am I out of breath? Like at the end of the run, if you're out of breath, you're probably holding your breath during the run. Like it's like the after effects. And I try to be cognizant of those like afters because when you're doing the thing, it's really hard to notice those things, but you can find the evidence afterwards. So like maybe
Yep.
get in the habit of like, okay, well, what do my hands feel like? Where like do they feel like they were like fist for the last like 45 seconds or do they feel like good? Do they feel like hands? Like, do my hands feel like hands? That's something we should all be asking all of ourselves all the time. So,
Yeah. Are they unboiled pasta? Or are they boiled pasta? We want boiled pasta hands.
yeah, boiled pasta.
I don't know where I got that from. So yeah, like last night when we were running, and the reason I'm not proud of beating you, I'm proud of that it took me 2.5 laps of the Nurburgring to stay that focused and go as fast as we were going and stick with you and catch you and have the opportunity to like all of those things were like, damn, I did a good job. I did that for like 20 straight minutes of focus. When's the last time I had that happen? And the only thing I was focused on through that was keeping my muscles, keeping the hands light and the right muscles engaged and breathing. And that sounds so crazy because that's literally not related to my driving experience in real life at all. But it worked for this.
Well,
Isn't that wild?
I'm looking forward to the next race and you're going down.
Watch, I'll have one bad one and I'll be like, guys, iRacing sucks again.
Next week on the Lizard Brains
Yeah.
podcast.
Guys, I deleted it from my computer again. I'm playing Forza.
Tom's back on his Forza Horizon grind.
Yeah. The new one's coming out soon. I got to get practice.
Oh my goodness. Is it actually coming out?
I don't know. I made that up.
Okay.
Um, we had a really good question, but why don't we take a break first, and then when we come back, we'll answer the question.
What? A break? What do we have?
DJ,
Like a
we're back
commercial
from the
break?
break, and here we. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, do you listen to any podcasts and they
Yeah,
do that, and then they don't
have
actually go to a
breaks.
break?
Well, no, they do go to a break and they'll play some music. Do I have any of the stock music on this thing? Yeah, I do. They would be like this. All right, guys, we're gonna go on a break.
Oh, this takes too long.
All right, and we're back
gotta
from
sell
the
something.
break. Like that's how
Why
the
do they
breaks
do
work.
that? That's such a weird thing.
Because they actually take a break.
For every 15 minutes of talking?
Well, no, they might have like an ad or something if it's like 15 minutes in. But like, okay, so the podcasts I listen to, they're normally like 4 hours long. So
Oh.
they actually have to take a break because they like probably have to go to the bathroom and stuff.
Okay, I listen to a couple that they're like an hour long, and they take a break every 15 minutes, and they cut away to nothing, and then they immediately come back and say, "And we're back from the break,"
What?
and they launch to the next thing. I'm like, "Where did you go?"
What?
I wanted to do it to you and see what
Where
you
did
did.
you go? Where
Yeah.
did they go?
Oh no.
Yeah.
All right, this is from our. Oh, do the thing.
Oh, hold on. I cycled so many pages. Emails.
All right, are you prepared to dive into the internet armchair quarterbacking and shit talking territory?
Uh-oh. That sounds risky. Yes. Where are we at?
All right, this is from our friend Diego. He
Oh,
says,
okay.
I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on the Max Verstappen Nürburgring record drama. As an endurance fan, it's frustrating to see hordes of F1 fans believe Max can beat a record by 3 seconds on a whim, and I believe that discredits the dozens of factory drivers that I admire who've been racing in this field since the late 2000s, early 2010s. The only evidence to support these claims have been verbal confirmation from Max and a hand timed thing that I learned after. But there is still speculation on the car's BOP. One Mercedes factory driver was essentially forced to publicly apologize after Max said, no, it's the right BOP without any further evidence. I do believe trying to compare drivers across categories is usually a rabbit hole that never leads to meaningful conclusion, but I would want to believe that Max would not immediately be successful against these other top level factory drivers. Suppose if I were to generalize these points into grassroots related question, it would be, do lap records even matter, or is it all about winning at that day's event? Since lap time pace is usually an exponential plateau, what do you think that the disparity in skill would be at the top level of, let's say, an SCCA autocross or time trials alien and an IMSA driver versus a Formula One driver? Do you think you would lose to an F1 driver if they showed up to your local autocross? And this is all rooted around, I guess, Max Verstappen doing a semi-private, like semi not public lap in a Mercedes or a Ferrari GT3 car, and then supposedly breaking the lap record that all of these people chase all their lives.
Okay, so here's the thing though, is what I heard is that there were multiple cars there that were also on unofficial timers that also broke whatever the lap record is. So it sounds like it might have just been like really good conditions. But I think Max is a little bit of an enigma because the guy's literally one of the fastest sim racers in the world and like a four-time F1 world champion. Max, I think, is going to be fast in whatever he's in. Now, would every Formula One driver be fast in whatever they're in? I don't necessarily think that to be the case. Like, they would be fast on like a normal human scale, but not like a specialized, like this guy's like only drives GT3 cars. He's like the fastest GT3 car driver, right? I don't necessarily think that would like, I don't think every single F1 driver is better than every single other driver. But Max on his own is a little bit of an enigma in that sense. So would it be believable that he would break the lap record? Yeah, I could see it happening. Like a car's a car. And also like after driving a Formula One car, like you know how slow those cars must feel? You know how like
Probably crazy.
you know
Yeah.
how like when you drive like really, really fast cars and then you like jump to a slower car, like everything feels easier and like simpler? Like
Yep.
like the entries just must feel like this forever task of like car placement, and it just probably feels like super easy relative to like what it would feel like in an F1 car.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I don't know of any other pro that really takes that's like is such a dork as Max is like. He can't even hide how much of a dork he is about it because he's constantly doing that stuff. I mean, my first thought is like this is so intermediate group track day banter in the paddock. Like, get over yourselves. But also, I think I don't know. In my experience, the top doesn't really move everywhere I've been. Um, like the top level of autocross was very similar to the top level of club racing, was very similar to the top level of pro racing that I've done. And granted, I only got up to TCR levels. When I tested the GT3 car, I was the quickest in that. Um, the hardest competition I've ever been in was actually that karting event that I did in Germany. I told you about.
Yeah.
That was like 130 drivers from across the world, and even that, like if I had a good cart, I was in the top 5. If I had a bad cart, I was in the bottom 5. So even that tells me like the top didn't move that crazy much, and that was 15 years ago. But I think we're playing a game of physics. So I tend to agree. I don't think maybe like a Max Verstappen aside, I don't think people like we're playing a game of physics. You're limited to what you can accomplish by that. There's nothing extra to gain. There's nothing extra to game. If you are excellent at doing that, you should be fast in everything. At least as far as the same discipline goes. This is all tarmac grip driving, circuit driving.
Yeah, yeah. I think like when you get to overly stuff, like it is a little different.
But I think that's it. If anything, it's encouraging to learn, at least in my, like I said, my lived experience, which I think if you're listening to this podcast and you go further than I did in your pro racing, that's like, I'm going to be there cheering you with a sign. But if you get all the way up to even like GT4, GT3 level, the top doesn't really move. Like people are exceptional drivers at every level. And if you are capable of winning an SCCA national championship autocross, you probably have at least the foundation to be a top GT3 driver already done.
Yeah.
Like I think that's
So
part of the cool part about what we're doing.
guys, so save your money and then just go autocross.
I mean, kind of. Did I ever tell you the story of the guy, my teammate coming to Grid Life and being like, "Man, these people pay a lot of money
Oh yeah, they pay a lot of money to
on the
do this.
podcast"?
Yeah, you
Did
have
I?
talked about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Was it on the podcast?
Maybe not. Okay, real quick. I took one of my IMSA teammates, not Kenton, the to a Grid Life, and they were watching Time Attack. And after half the session, it's kind of Group A or whatever. They go, "Man, these people pay a lot of money to just drive around." And
It's
this person was paying over half the budget of us to run IMSA on his own time. I'm like, "What do you think you do, bud? You're just doing the same shit. Someone told you it's more important." Oh my god,
yeah, somebody told
it
yeah,
was wild.
exactly. Somebody told you it's more important. And but you know what? Like we all fall for it.
but that's kind of that it almost is a full circle conversation about that bottling that I don't know if you call it winner's mentality or like that I've already gotten over my big win, you know? When you start to be able to look at it that way, the fundamental action of driving becomes
The focus.
I don't know if I would say easier, but it becomes the singular focus for sure,
Yeah.
yeah. The same way that you could even tell with this Nürburgring stuff, Max was like, "What?" I'm like, "Okay, if you guys don't wanna believe that's the lap time, that's fine."
Yeah,
Whatever.
exactly. Yeah. Well, it kinda he did have like this reply to the thing where it said Max said, "False, don't spread things when you don't know how the car was set up or our engine settings. Why would I join a NLS track day with the wrong BOP? Have a good one tomorrow." Like referring to this person that replied to Max about it.
Right. I mean, I guess that says no matter how rich and famous you are, you still have to respond to Twitter drama.
Tom, are you connecting with Max right now? Because like when you're successful, you get this like weird shade that like you don't actually deserve. Are you connecting with
I
Max?
know, I can totally see that. Yeah, when you're that dominant, people want any reason to not like
They want to root
n they
against.
don't wanna not like you, but they wanna see anything that's not you being successful because that's become boring.
Yeah, because they want it like changed up. Like, and I'll admit it too. Like when Hamilton was winning like every single race, and then somebody would come in and like steal one, like Daniel Ricciardo, it'd be like that was like extra. That was more exciting than if Hamilton just drove away and won by like 20 seconds or whatever. But at the
Yep.
same time, I can appreciate the absolute dominance that this human being is putting in on a super competitive environment and consistently at the top and consistently pushing to be at the top. And that's not easy. That's like a it's like a lifestyle of like dominant competition, like the proper mindset and like just being relentless 100% of the time.
Yeah. I was thinking about I had a thought half formed from that, and I kinda lost it.
It's gone forever. We'll
Sorry.
never see it
Yep.
again.
Probably wasn't that good. But did we answer all those questions? He said in the terms of, "Oh, do lap records matter?" Oh, that's what I was gonna bring up. That it sounds like one of those really annoying scenarios where you run this super fast lap on a test day, and then if there was a race tomorrow, it would probably be everybody on the same playing field, and you wouldn't have gotten your fast lap again, and everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, you really went that fast, huh?" You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually do have some hot takes about lap records.
Okay, tell me.
I do
Oh
think
boy, wait, real quick. Let's put the bat signal up for all the time attackers.
okay.
You're coming to 48 minutes into the podcast.
Yep. 48 minutes exactly, Tom. How did you do that? It was
'Cause I
literally
finally put myself on a
oh,
timer for when we're recording.
nice. Um, I I think they're kind of bullshit because when the track is paved new, the tracks for the most part, except Mid Ohio, is faster, right? Because the new pavement's just a little bit grippier. The conditions matter, especially in classes where like a bump draft, like or like drafting is like at a play. Like do the lap records like actually mean anything, or is it just like you happen to put string together a good lap? Maybe you got a draft, maybe you got a bump draft, whatever. And the conditions were also really good, and the track was like extra hooked up for whatever reason. Like sometimes you go to the racetrack and you're like, yeah, it's slow today. I don't know why. And then sometimes you're there and you're like, whoa, it's really fast. Who knows
Yep.
why, one or the other? But every once in a while, in a situation where a track record, quote unquote, can be recorded, sometimes the track's just fast, and you string together a lap that looks good, and the pavement isn't super polished yet, and track records are still possible, and you just happen to set the fastest time.
I think I'm mostly with you. I think I agree that they don't matter in the sense of when you really think about it, but at the same time, they are singularly the thing that matters the most when you got it. So, like, both things can be true at once. I would say that track records matter and then everything else doesn't, right? Like, if you didn't get it, it doesn't matter if the track record or if the track conditions were good. Like, almost doesn't count because this isn't horseshoes and hand grenades. It's either you got it or I guess I don't know how I feel because
Th- this
I think
is
Okay,
Chasing
so
them is
like
fun.
getting the
Chasing them,
record over a 3-day event and like it's just in whatever session and all that is a completely different thing from like winning in the session. I think winning in the session is way more impressive.
yes.
And that's why I think stuff like the podium sprint or like speed ring is the best it's ever been as far as like in the moment who's heads up time attack competition. Uh
Agreed. It's like a bonus.
but like
If
the
you
whole
happen to get the
yeah,
track
like
record, then that's a bonus. But I feel like a lot of people they'll in these like competitions they'll aim for that, and maybe it's because they're blowing away everyone else in their class, and like that's the thing that they're shooting for. Like maybe that's what happens in a lot of the time attack settings. Um, but to me, it's like you're competing against, and sometimes it's people competing against themselves, right? Like they're going after their own track record. They're like trying to lower it, but you're
yeah.
competing against uh other people and it's not a level playing field. I think that's the part that like it irks like my lizard brain is that it's not a level playing field whether it's against you or for you. And to me that's like the part I don't like because the track is different day to day, and tires change over time and the track surface changes over time and everything's like not everything's the same. It's not the same competition, but we like have the same track
Yeah.
records.
Yep. I mean, that said though, getting one of the like getting one of the overall track records or one of the like significant track records is still
It's
cool in its
exciting.
own way in the format of getting you get 8 sessions and you happen to get the right one at the right time, you know.
Yeah.
That's still I think that still has its place
I
kinda.
I think it has its place, but
It's harder to chase though. Like I get why time attack is such a weird niche version, the same way autocross is a weird niche version of motorsports because it's such a slog to
yeah,
like
it really
to put
is.
yourself in that position to have everything come together at the right time.
Yeah. Having said that, listener of the podcast, Richard Swecky got a new record this last weekend. Congrats, Richard.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, he did. And also, our friend Jimmy Rock set the new production car record at NCM, 201 out of a front wheel drive car. I think it only makes like 500 horsepower too. Um, I was talking to Andy Smedegard and Alex about taking Super K there because they did what 205 at one lap
Yes.
on 200 treadwear, running their conservative tune and driving style, not tune but driving style. And so I was like poking the bear, trying to get him to
Oh
go
yeah,
back.
nice. You have to wait
But
till
I'm like,
next year
if you
though.
got to be prepared to go and only get like 2 chances because it's only the first morning session of each day, and then
Yeah.
you're basically might as well put the car in the trailer.
Yeah. That's the thing that makes time attack like when it's like unlimited, like big arrow, big power, is you really only do get those like those two chances and it's just the morning
Yep.
sessions. And it's like one
Yeah.
lap.
When you get into that window of like that level of detail matters, it kind of becomes a little discouraging to a point eventually.
Yeah, because you're not driving anymore. But putting together a lap is really really fun. Like trying to put one together.
For sure. David Entz added to the conversation about the Nürburgring thing. Randy Popes, Brian Highcotter, Tom, et cetera, are a few that have proven grassroots and sim guys can absolutely compete at the pro level. But I would say even further than that. I think we're the ones that realized an opportunity or created our opportunity to do that because of our lifestyle choices and whatever else. But like I said, I think if you have the foundations to win in a pretty competitive class at any national championship, then I think you're equally qualified to every GT3 driver that's not, especially a non-factory one. Like they all have the same opportunity you do, and vice versa.
Yeah, I think that is probably the when people are first starting out at this is they think that the talent just keeps going up from whatever they're in. And I say talent as in like skill. Sorry, I don't want to start a talent versus effort debate again. Um but like they think it oh like if I go to this like people are going to be even better or they're going to be even better and they're going to be like each level you climb to, and that's not necessarily the case. So want to do another question?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, hold on. I gotta remove Diego's from the pinned.
Did you notice how good I read that last one? I think reading books has helped a lot.
You did read that very good, and
I read the hell out of that
I feel
paragraph.
like I might have to start reading so I don't fall behind on the podcast. All right. Back to DJ reading a question. For people going from sim racing to real racing and then back to sim, what are there areas in sim racing that improve based on a better real world understanding of how the car feels? For example, I've never been on track, but recreationally sim race. I find myself inconsistently hitting brake markers. I'm making an assumption it's because I don't have a good understanding of how the car feels going into a corner at speed. I'm sure the repetition and experience on the sim will help, but I wasn't sure if my example plays a role. And basically, Nick's asking, does driving in real life help you on the simulator? I think it does, and vice versa.
Hang on. Are there areas in sim racing that improve based on a better real world understanding of how the car feels? Oh, yeah, he did ask that. All
So
right, keep going. You think it does somewhat?
I think they both lend into each other. If you're just doing one, then like you're gonna specialize in that thing. If you're just like but if you're doing both, they kind of like you build like a bridge back and forth. And I see this all the time, especially with sim coaching, because it like picks up during the winter. Everyone's like, I got to get better at this, and then real racing starts, and then people are like, yeah, I'm doing real stuff, and then they like neglect the sim racing. But honestly, I think like what would be most beneficial is in the winter, you travel, you hustle to try to find things to drive in the winter or ways to drive in the winter, just to keep that like muscle alive. So you're not just sim racing. And then in the summer, you keep sim racing like during the week. So you can kind of keep that muscle alive and they like feed into each other because you're going to learn some things in sim racing easier than in real life. And you're going to learn some things in real life easier than in sim racing. So if you want the maximum learning, to me, you have to be doing both and you have to be doing both all the time.
I kind of want to push back on the question. So he's basically asking, I've never been on track and I struggle on track in the sim because, or I wonder, and I wonder if that's because I've never been on track. That's basically what he's asking. And I'm going to say
Basically.
no, actually.
Well, okay, yeah, yeah.
I don't think those are as
I'm
related
agreeing.
as
I'm
he,
agreeing with where you're going.
yeah. So the question makes sense in the way he asked it, but I don't think it's actually related. You're saying that you're struggling with braking. I think that's more to do with sensation of speed in the video game, which is something that people struggle with massively. In the car, 120 miles an hour feels like 120 miles an hour because you don't go that fast every day, and everything starts buffeting. And if you're in a fast enough car at 140, you start to get lift and all this. In the sim, everything feels about the same all the time, and the sensation of speed doesn't have enough peripheral blur and all this, to give you that idea of what's happening. So you think you're going slower all the time than you actually are. And I definitely struggled with that when I picked up iRacing way back 5, 6 years ago. It's like I'm overshooting literally everything because I can't tell how fast I'm going. And I had to work really hard on reference points and muscle memory to build like where does my foot go for each car or for this car and the brake. So what I would recommend, Nick, is do a DJ's test of like close your eyes, go put your pedal to 50% brake or 80% brake on the option screen, and then open your eyes, make sure it's lining up. And then when you're building your reference points to drive on a racetrack, make sure that you're braking consistently and start there. Because if you're
That
struggling with sensation of speed and consistent brake pressure because you can't feel what's happening as well as you do in the real car, I think that's probably more why you struggle with braking than it's because you've never done it before in a real car.
and make sure that your FOV is correct. If you have like a GoPro lens FOV, that being consistent on your brake markers is going to feel like you are being consistent. I totally broke at the two, but when it's the FOV's wrong and it gets fisheyed toward the edge, and you think you're braking at the two, but sometimes you brake a little bit past it or a little bit before, it's going to create all this inconsistency because your visuals aren't matching to what it would be 1 to 1 in real life. So that will mess up your sensation of speed as well.
Yeah. If you play with that, let us know. I maybe that helps you like take it out of the context you were thinking of it.
Yeah, that was from Nick McCrab, by the way. I don't think I said his name when I started. I just started reading the question. Yeah, here's a question. Didn't say the
I don't know where
person's
Nick
name
lives, but I kind of want to autocross with him. He's got like a bitchin' Camaro. I think it's like a 70 Camaro
based on his
cam
profile
car.
picture. Maybe he took that picture and it's not
Yeah.
his.
No, I think it's his. I'm gonna manifest this. I want to go to Europe and go to a motorsports event. I want to co-drive Nick's car.
All right, Nick, get a hold of Tom. Apparently, your car's going to Europe. Do they have autocross in Europe? I don't think they do. They have like the
Wait, not at the
gymkhana
same
stuff.
time.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
if he wants to ship it over there.
yeah.
I think they have I think they have honestly, I don't think they have much of the autocross that we know. I think they have high speed autocross. I've seen stuff that they do at like airports that would be more what they used to call solo one. You know, they would set up like
Yeah.
super high speed slaloms and stuff. And I think they have like that tiny little parking lot gymkhana stuff.
Yeah, where it's like
I've
Miatas
never
with
seen
handbrakes and stuff.
yeah, and I've only really seen that in the UK. You know what? When I go in July, I will come back with a full report of all the motorsports I saw.
Yes, please. I think that like the autocross that we know is probably very much an American thing because we have giant parking lots because America is like built for cars to drive around. And I don't think it's not like that in other places of the world. So
That is such a good point. That's a perfect point. Yep. Do we have any other questions? I know we've only been going for an hour.
yeah, I'm just gonna keep going down. Man, we gotta curate this better.
Yeah, we're a little sloppy at this.
There's a question for Ross, even though he's not on the podcast.
He will be soon.
Uh,
We're reading these in real time. Sorry.
Yep, yep.
You
This
guys can
is
talk amongst
riveting
yourselves.
podcast content. We used to, you know what, Tom? We used to be so on top of this. We used to like curate it and have like questions for each episode.
I like this. You're right. We used to be way better at this. Emilio asked, in line with all of these instructor questions, we were talking about instructing a lot apparently at this point. I've got a TT capable car now and I'm doing safety prep over the winter. Other than getting out on track with an HPDE program, are there any other programs you would recommend to someone with zero track experience getting ready to go time trialing? Or let's just say even on track?
I got one.
That's a very helpful question. What do you got?
Track Night in America.
Okay, I agree. I would actually thought of it different. I would say SCCA starting line.
For
The
getting
autocross
on
school.
for getting on this is getting on
Yeah.
track.
Yeah, because a lot of people accelerate past the car control point and they go on track and then they're going way faster and their car control is not what they thought it was. And they're either uncomfortable or they're in, I almost said in peril. They're not in peril, but you know,
Well, they might be. You never
they might be
know.
in peril. Um,
If you're in peril,
the starting line school is productive because it does an oval and a slalom and it teaches weight transfer and it teaches repetition on those elements before it puts you on an autocross course. So even if you don't care about autocross, if you take that school, you get training that I think gives you a better understanding of car control and reps in a situation that is like safe and comfortable. And then now you have a little bit of a leg up. Now Emilio's an autocrosser, so maybe he's past that point a little bit, but even still, I think the starting line is the best car control school I've ever worked with.
okay, so I knew Emilio was an autocrosser, so that's why that was my advice. But yes, your advice
Yeah.
totally works. If you're just if somehow you ran into this podcast and you're like, I don't know, maybe I'll try out this car stuff.
You found out we're not about conspiracy theories.
Yeah, and then you're
We're
here and you're
actually
like,
about
you know what,
driving.
this sounds kind of fun. Yeah, it is fun. Yeah, starting line school would probably if even if you find that like autocross isn't going to be your thing. Yeah, I think that advice is really good for everyone. Or if you're even still like a novice HPDEer and you've stumbled across this podcast, I think a starting line school would really help you out.
The other thing I would get is a camera that mounts behind you in your car. I
Yes.
think that's the only other thing I can think of for you to spend money on for yourself. I wouldn't recommend other, like, the only reason to go to something like Skip Barber or something like that is to pay to make your problem of needing a race license go away. You're not getting better experience. You're going to get similar information. Like, give yourself some tools to be better equipped for the track rather than think of like, oh, I need to go to this because they have this program.
I could see a program like
But
that.
I agree. Okay.
Hold on, I could
Go
see a
ahead.
program like that working really well because of the repetition. Like if you drive on track for like 5 days in a row, then you're definitely going to get better than if it was just 2 days in a row. Right? Like that's the thing that one lap does is you drive so many days in a row that like these things that you're doing become like intrinsic habits. And if you have somebody there guiding you to not build the wrong habits, then I could see that being like a really beneficial learning environment. That being said, I've never done a skip barber school or any kind of racing school like that, but I'm imagining what a racing school could be and should be, and what I'm imagining I would think that it would be useful. Whether it is that, I'm not entirely sure.
My experience with stuff like that is the seat time is just so low that while you
Okay,
think you're gonna get high quality reps and all this, I would struggle to spend the money, but I don't have the money, so I guess it's not for me.
if you spent an hour on track for 5 days in a row, so 5 hours total, an hour, like 20, like maybe it's like 15 minutes review, 15 minutes review, 15 minutes review, and then you do it one more time, that's an hour, and then you review, and then you do it again the next day. I could see that being super useful. And then you like throw in some skid pad in there and some go karts and like some other stuff. So, because it would be really expensive to run a school where you're just burning cars down to the ground like every single week. That school would
Yeah.
be infinitely expensive. But I'm imagining like that version of the school over like a long enough, like you have to do it in a certain number of days in a row. Uh, I think that would be beneficial to like send you off in the right direction to like go like be good at driving cars.
Would you spend that money to do it 5 days in a row on the same week? If you already have the money, you don't have to think about getting the money. Would you use that money to go 5 days in a row, knowing that you're gonna get reps every day? Or would you use that money to do as many events as possible in a single year's period with your own car?
Mm.
I've never done the school either, so I guess we're not v it'd be if anybody has experience with doing one of these schools,
Yeah,
I
please
would love
write
to
in.
actually hear if we're way off base here, but I would rather I've always looked at this as like the commoditized, like commercialized stuff is just not going to be as high quality as the sandbox stuff. Like the sandbox meaning go to a track day and teach yourself, learn from people, learn
I'm thinking
in
of
real time.
like a crash course and like I'm like thinking if like my dad
Yeah,
all of a sudden was like, I kind of think it like he just gets the bug and he's all of a sudden he's like, I'm gonna go learn. I'm gonna figure this out. Like like
do you think there's a little bit of a fallacy that people think they can just do that and then now they can do it?
I think
I think
if
there is.
yeah, maybe they probably leave with like some version of like they're like somewhere on the Dunning Kruger curve like afterwards,
Yeah,
right?
they're
Uh
they're up over
yeah.
on your right shoulder.
Yep. There's somewhere like just above my nipple is probably where they end up. For the audio only, I'm wearing a Dunning Kruger shirt, so
Why are your nipples all the way down there?
no,
Kidding.
they're a little higher
I'm
than that,
kidding.
Tom.
I'm kidding.
That's funny. Um, yeah, I like I said, I've never done one of the schools, but I'm imagining like a format that would be useful, like the format that I described. I think that while squashing bad habits, just over time, it would probably accelerate the learning curve. Probably like you would get like 6 months of learning in like a week, if like money no object.
Yeah, I think I mean, that's kinda what I said at the beginning. It's to make your to pay to make the problem of needing that go like, I guess maybe that's not quite fair because not everyone's going for a racing license, but yeah, if anyone's taken one of these, we should ask Kyle Herbst. He won a free one of these and went and did like a 3-day skip arbor school. Forget where he won that,
So
but
I'm not
he
sure
actually
if
spoke relatively highly of it. He said they recognized his abilities and let him go pretty quick, as quickly as he wanted, and go ahead.
yeah. Well, so some of these schools, not all schools are equal, and I'm not even sure where the Skip Barber School is at this point, and it might still be really great, but
It travels.
like some of the like racing schools or whatever are just like basically what's the thing called? Extreme experience. It's basically extreme experience, but like it takes like multiple days. Like you're just there to experience racing, not actually like get good at racing. And a lot of the instructors are like there to like hold your hand and stuff. And so like not all racing schools are equal. And as like a novice coming in, I would find that like infinitely difficult to like try to parse through and like try to figure out which one is the like actual school that's going to push you outside your comfort zone and like help you develop like these good subconscious executable programs and like send you off in like the right direction.
Yeah. Um, Alex in the chat said we are textbook autodidacts,
I don't know what that means.
and I had to look up what that is. It says a self-taught person.
Oh, yes, we are. Well, I can't fully say that. Did I talk about? I think I did on the one lap wrap up where I was like starstruck by Ross Bentley, and I just wanted to go thank him for writing his book.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think I think his book, like the ultimate guide to speed secrets. I think I read that through like 4 times at like different stages of my driving, and each time I read through it, I like picked out different stuff. Like, oh, I didn't understand what that meant last time, or at least I thought I did, but now I understand it a little bit better, like that idea or whatever. And I think a book or something like that, like especially when you're just starting out, it kind of the thing it does is it like it sets you in the direction that you should be going. Like it kind of gives you an indication of like the things that you should be working on. Like it helps you find out what your low-hanging fruit is, so then you can troubleshoot whatever that low-hanging fruit is on your own. I do think that I don't think I can fully say that I'm like a autodidact or whatever because uh I'm not fully self-taught. I seeked help from the people that were beating me. I read books, I listened to podcasts, right? Like I leached information from everywhere around me. It's not like I just went out there and turned tires into dust and eventually figured it out.
Yeah, I think I'm more self like I want a sandbox and I want no one looking while I'm like playing in the sandbox figuring out how it works. And then once I figured out how it works, I'll do with it what I want.
I
I don't like being told to learn and I don't like being told how to learn, I guess. I have an authority complex, I think is what I just said.
I think you fall way more under the auto autodidact. Is that what it is?
I don't even know how to say it. I feel kind of dumb. AUTODIDACT.
All right. Well, Crandy says yes. Oh, I was going to talk about something that one of our subscribers is bringing up in the subscriber chat.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on, I gotta refresh my memory. I'm glad he's here in the audience. I'm leaving his name out in case he wants to stay anonymous, just because he did put it in this subscriber coaching channel. By the way, we have a Discord. That's where we're recording this. Go check out the Discord. And if
500 people strong, and if you're a subscriber, we have private channels that you can get a little extra out of.
okay, uh, okay, says it's not. I don't know if it's worthy of a know my question. I was preparing for a time attack season rather as a rather inexperienced time attacker, and everyone suggests that you need to be able to hit your absolute peak form on the first flyer. I'm not sure if this is driven by some folks having unreliable cars or lots of traffic, or perhaps it's this podium sprint format talking about grid life. But I just cannot get there. I need a second or third flyer to extract the maximum. It feels like a combination of myself not being able to hit my peak form and my car not being at the temps that would allow maximum performance. I'm practicing in an M3 with big RE71 RSs. I'm a driver who relies on quote unquote feel and depth perception very heavily rather than reference points, which may be the issue. I think you're onto something there. Uh, but I'm hoping that the group may have some ideas uh, as how to basically just turn on the switch and go, go, go. And then some of the other subscribers were helping them out. And so then the thing that I said I was going to talk about on the podcast uh, was, well, what are your thoughts on developing this skill set, which is just like flip the switch and go? Is it a matter of reps um, or reference points? Blah, 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 blah. It continues. Okay. So what is how do you just flip the switch like on a racetrack and just like drive at the limit of adhesion, Tom?
Um, I mean, the root of it, especially with a 200 treadwear tire, is knowing that the car can do the exact same thing, if not more, on the first lap than the last lap.
Yep. And
I don't know if that made enough sense. That was still a little too simplified, but the basically, I think what people get comfortable with is the feeling of hot tires, and hot tires 9 times out of 10, unless it's like a proper Michelin, like pro engineered pro race car slick, doesn't actually need to be like wildly hot. It kind of most tires actually like settle into a grip that's lower than their peak, and that's where people seem comfortable. And I don't know how to get someone over the curb because I've never really worked with someone directly on that, but your car can do the same thing on the first lap of the next session as it did on the last lap of the last session. And if you take longer to get there, then you just need to observe when you underdrive reference points and get to them quicker. Um,
Most
and I will give you your blessing 100% with your car on those Bridgestones. It's ready to go halfway through the outlap
Yes, okay,
with
that's
no
what I was
warming
gonna say.
up on purpose.
At some point the tires do get activated and it's probably halfway through your outlap. Now the Nexans that I was on for time trial nationals last year, they felt fine on the first flying lap, but they weren't the same pace that they were on the second flying lap. So that did take like a little bit of working
Yeah,
up. So some tires are like that, like Kumos are like that, whatever. Eventually you'll learn kind of like the like intricate details of like the specific tire you're on. And when I say like it was a little slower on the first lap, it was like a half second slower than than it was on the second lap. And those are Nexans. But Bridgestones, in this instance, yeah, like Tom said, halfway through the outlap, they're ready to go, and you can feel it when the tire activates. When a tire's not activated, it doesn't even feel like the tire like loads into the ground and you're slipping and sliding. If you're not experiencing that ever, then we're not testing enough on the outlap, uh, like for when and how the car like comes into grip. Uh, I think in order to like go out and nail a lap on like the first flying is kind of what Tom was saying. So you can get the practice in on those warm tires, and then just know that when the tires are activated and they're like still in like their sweet spot, it can do whatever you were doing at the end of your last session. So like, and what's important here is the brake markers that you're using and your angles at apex and just like your placement of the car is still important. Uh, those things can be adjusted slightly, but you need to know where those are more than anything. So you have a reference to like how the corner is going, uh, and your lap will just be faster. It's not necessarily going to feel that
yeah,
much different. It's just going to be a faster lap time.
kind of. Yeah, yeah. If you start to overthink it, it becomes complicated. But really, the car just has like a slight bit more peak grip, so you can't really brake that much later, or you can't try to go faster. You just have to know that it's got literally every bit of grip that you felt up to that point, and then it probably has a little bit more. So even if you don't get it just right, you're in the window and you're fine. Now the question was framed with like, if I'm getting into time attack, everyone says I'm only going to get my first lap, or everyone says you have to be fast on your first lap. I don't know if this is because of unreliable cars. Yes. Traffic. Yes.
Yes.
Or the podium sprint format. Not so much, but kind of. But you won't have an issue if you need two or three. Like, don't think you literally only get your one because that's how the sport works. Um, so like kind of gauge your expectations for yourself with that.
Yeah. Um,
If anything, the highest quality track time at a lot of a lot of time attack sessions is the last 5 minutes, but getting there means no one broke.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Time attack's a weird sport, everyone. Um, yeah, I think just dial into your references. Tom, I had a conversation with somebody during one lap who was telling me that they drove much more like you uh, because they don't really have references and they rely on feel. And I was like, I think you got Tom O'Gorman wrong, is like basically what I said. Because
Yeah,
basically what I was saying is like, if you think Tom O'Gorman's not out there looking at brake markers, you're wrong. Because there's no way you can be accurate without accurate references.
for sure. I mean, brake markers are a non-option. Like, there's no one on the planet who is a successful driver who does not use brake references. And then the rest of my references are honestly more texture and like elevation based, or like weight based. I'm waiting for the car to hit a state in the weight transfer that I know it needs to happen, or I'm waiting for that elevation point in the track to like compress the car so that I can do X thing, or that I don't know, the end of the curb is where I brake or whatever. Like, my reference points might be a little bit more personal, but I have them.
Yeah, so it's not 100% just like instinct, like Tom's out there with like the force and he's
No,
like a driving
no.
Jedi. Like that's just not how it works. I think people like dramatize it and like do like this romanticizing of like setting fast laps, and that's just not how it works.
I yeah, I agree. No, I have never met. So to go back to the to end on the very first thing we talked about with my um paying attention to all the sim stuff. Wait, I lost my train of thought. Damn, that was really pathetic.
Man, it like
Where
lasted a
was I
whole
trying to
5
go?
seconds.
Holy cow.
I was talking about how somebody said that Tom relies on feel more than rather than references, and they were saying that like they were more like you in that case. And my argument against that was no, like he's definitely using references. And then you were going to talk about sim racing and talk about how uh, you started in sim racing and references is all you had. So you definitely use references. DJ, you're absolutely correct. And
Yeah, that.
yeah, and like what
Wow.
a silly statement from that other person.
Must be time to end because I have never had a brain fart so fiercely on the end of the
Don't worry, I
well.
got you. I got you, bro.
Yeah, thanks. What are you doing this weekend?
This weekend I'm going camping with Christine.
Nice. Where?
We're going to Ohio Pile. It's supposed to be 40 degrees and raining. It's going to be awesome.
Ohio Pile? Are you camping in a landfill?
Nope, it's apparently a place in Pennsylvania, and it looks beautiful. It's like it's like Appalachian Mountains. The hiking's apparently awesome. We're gonna sleep in a tent. The only time me and Christine have ever slept in a tent is at a racetrack. We've like actually never. I have a tent. I've had a tent for years. It was just to save on hotels because a tent was basically the same cost as a hotel. So I just bought a tent, and that saved me like probably thousands of dollars over the last couple of years.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
but now we're gonna actually use the tent to actually go camping.
Cool. Have fun. Is there I'm assuming there's hiking involved?
Yeah,
That's the
yep.
main motivator for the hiking
That's
or
the
for the
main
camping?
thing. What about you, Tom? Where are you going? What are you doing?
I don't have anything planned this weekend actually. I think I might sign up for um my animal shelter training because they do it on Fridays and Saturdays.
Oh, you should.
I haven't been able to do them yet. So I think that's this weekend. And then I'll be able to volunteer finally. And then next week I might try to go to Grissom. I need to go scan the entry list, see if there's something that'll get me interested in going.
Okay.
We'll see.
I haven't even looked at the entry list. I-
I need to find something
Is there enough
something to
people?
get my sparks flying instead of huh?
Is there enough people signed up?
I don't know. I'll figure it
I don't
out
know. We'll
when I'm
figure it
there.
out later.
Yeah.
But okay.
Well, cool. We asked a lot of questions of the audience if any of the things we talked about today we were either off base or relatable about. Let us know.
Yeah, I want to hear about the racing school. I'm sure we have people in our audience that have done the
I
racing
agree.
school. So please chime in with that because I'm curious.
Agreed.
All right, Tom, you wanna end it?
Take us out. I also think not wait, but I think
Okay,
also
hold
if
on.
you
I
think you
ended the
could beat
music.
Max Verstappen. Wait, oh,
Oh, I
I
thought
was
you.
screwing up my outro.
I thought you said wait. Like wait, hold on. We're not ending this thing yet.
Yeah, I don't know why I said wait. Go.
Okay.
Press it. Also, if you're listening and you think you could beat Max Verstappen, email us. I love your hair and I hope you win.